For centuries, we thought no one lived in this wild jungle.
Essa tá pouco verde. Vou atrás de preto.
But archaeologists have unearthed long-lost civilizations buried deep in the Amazon. Millions of people once lived here, and they didn't just make a home in the forest, they transformed it. The latest research shows that much of this wilderness is more like a carefully cultivated garden. And the discoveries offer ancient lessons on how civilizations can thrive without destroying their environment. I'm Hannah Yee, this is Quartz.
I left my bushwhacking machete at home. This here looks like a messy rainforest with vegetation everywhere that you don't have a clue what it is.
Myrtle Schock is an archaeologist who studies ancient horticulture practices in the Amazon.
This is pitomba, a forest fruit.
She says most people see the forest as a wild jungle.
The Amazon is hot.
Early explorers even called it a green hell.
Some of the earliest archaeological work considered the populations as having lack of this. So they lack stone houses, or they lack metal tools, or they lack an agricultural system.
Myrtle says they're all wrong. These early inhabitants of the Amazon knew exactly what they were doing.
Indigenous populations changed the Amazon in such a drastic way that even after hundreds of years of abandonment, we still see the signature of these forests that were changed.
Walk through the forest today, and you can see how ancient communities changed the forest to fit their needs.
This here is a legume known as inga, and right beyond it, there's another useful palm, which is bacaba, and it's not just one bacaba, there's one here, one right back there, and off in that direction, a couple more.
Archaeologists say this is a man-made food forest.
This one's sweet.
And they're finding them near sites of old settlements.
One of the little acais, and behind it, a number of rubber trees.
Myrtle says the Amazon was a curated and abundant place.
They are concentrating edible fruit trees in specific places, and in those specific places, they can have a greater guarantee that they're gonna find food the next year around.
Today, broad swaths of the forest have been cut down, replaced by single cash crops like corn or soy, and even cattle. When these areas are depleted, they usually turn into something that looks a lot like a desert. Archaeologists say Amazonian ancestors probably didn't use the earth in this way.
And one of the things they were looking at,
This hole in the ground is actually a window into the past.
you have in the beginning a darker soil, here transition soil, and here natural soil down here. So all this area here has been changed because of an ancient human occupation here.
Annie Hat P. Danielle studies archaeological site formations in the Amazon. Archaeologists discovered black earth, which they call
Terra preta. And
it was made by indigenous communities from as far back as 4,000 years ago.
Pocket knife for soil samples.
Eduardo Neves is an archaeologist who's worked in the Amazon since the 1980s. He says if you know what to look for, it's not that hard to find. The soil is dark and usually full of stuff.
It's like a small mammal bone. These are pottery shards here. Lens nail shells well.
This dirt is special. It's less acidic than normal Amazon soil and full of nutrients like calcium and phosphorus, which makes it great for farming. The key? Make the Amazon your home.
They're spending a lot of time in the same place, just like composting, throwing away their organic garbage, lots of charcoal burnt in low temperature, and that, over time, really contributes for the development of those soils.
This particular site was settled for about 1,000 years.
people had a lot of time to live in the forest, to study the forest, learn how to use all these different resources from the environment without depleting it completely.
Think about forests as forms of knowledge, like 1,000-year-old knowledge, ways of managing this complex environment.
We're losing that knowledge quickly. These satellite images show how deforestation has accelerated since the 1980s. And Brazil's new president has advocated for more and faster development here. That affects the whole world. Some scientists say a surge in deforestation would unleash massive amounts of greenhouse gases while affecting water supplies from Brazil to as far away as Africa and California. In some parts of the Amazon, though, the ancient knowledge of the forest survives.
Eu que nasci dentro da floresta, e que a gente cresceu vendo essa floresta, né?
Arimar Feitosa is part of a small traditional community that lives in a protected part of the Amazon.
Esse aqui é pé de abacaxi, esse aqui é o murucizeiro, esse aqui é o limoeiro.
His garden is messy and really productive.
Esse aqui já está maduro, já dá até para comer. Esse aqui é urucuzeiro, vários temperos para comida, tinta.
There is also black earth in this area, and locals seek out those ancient sites to farm.
Aqui na nossa comunidade a gente tem praticamente, eu acho que umas 4 faixas de terra preta.
Studies have shown that indigenous communities like these have been the most effective protectors of the forest, even as they've been threatened, displaced, and killed by those who want the land. Arimar lives off the food from his garden. He even uses the sap from rubber trees to make bags and slippers, which he sells to tourists. For Arimar, the Amazon is home.
Ainda continuar preservando essa floresta em pé, né? Sem ter que degradar. A gente sabe que o mundo precisa comer, mas não se come só derrubando, fazendo campo, né? Se come também fazendo isso aqui que a gente faz, olha.
If the Amazon is going to survive, the rest of the world probably needs to see it as their home too.
Quartz members can see more from this video and our entire series on how China is reshaping the world. Click the link below for a membership trial to get access to exclusive videos and articles. Quartz members get a daily education in the forces defining the global economy.